So, before you hit the dislike button or before you go into the comments trying to crucify me for having the take I'm about to say right now, I want you to just at least take the time to hear what I have to say if you're not a Cowboys fan, and just hear me out, okay? Look, I'll be honest, I'm someone that does not particularly like any NFC East team, obviously. I don't like Ohio State because I'm a Penn State fan, so I have bias towards Micah Parsons, so if you want to look at it that way, sure. But I'm going to look at this, what the stats say. I'm also going to look at just how things have gone in both, Washington and Dallas's games over these past 4 games that we've had to start the year. And honestly, you can say Micah Parsons has had a all-round better defensive impact than Chase Young has. And I get it that there are reasons for why that has been the case, and we'll get into all of that. But let's look at it this way to start things off. Chase Young in 2020 was seen as one of the main reasons why Washington's defense won them the East last year. Granted, they had a pretty okay-ish offense, okay? They were seen as an elite team defensively to where they can possibly win the East this year as long as their offense can do just enough. Well, their offense isn't doing a whole lot. I understand that they just won last game against Atlanta, and I'll get into that in my live stream as we go more in depth with that. But when you look at how Washington has looked defensively, they have not looked elite at all. They've looked relatively pedestrian. Chase Young has yet to record a sack this season, and, he's known to, be causing trouble. And I've yet to see a massive impact with him. And you could be like, well, they're double teaming him, and I understand that, and trust me, I get that because, I talk about that with DeMarcus Lawrence. But the fact of the matter is that Chase Young was seen as one of the hallmark reasons to pick Washington to win the NFC East this year. Now, I personally called that I did not think that Washington was going to do as well defensively because when you look all around with that team, their offense isn't good enough to really help their defense out. And you look at what's going on with Dallas. Dallas is in a situation where their offense is doing good enough to where as long as their defense holds their own, they're going to win football games. But not only is the defense holding their own, they're also doing their part and then some. Okay? Micah Parsons has been such a hybrid beast of a player to where you could play him at defensive end and he's getting QB hits, he's getting pressure, he's getting sacks, and then you could play him at linebacker and he can do a good job at making sure that whatever happens in the middle of that field is stopped. Now, I will say I do believe that Micah Parsons should be more of a rushing the quarterback type of player than he should be, stepping back in coverage. That's just my personal opinion based off of what we're seeing. But I feel like given his Swiss Army knife / versatility, I think that Dallas can afford to do both. And with that, he's a much, impactful player than Chase Young. With Chase Young, he's a defensive end that you're going to throw out on the side and you're going to hope that he can get there and cause pressure. But when you look, and I'm going to pull up the stats right here and I'll show you. I'm looking at Chase Young's stats, right? No sacks yet. He's had, games of 1, 3, 2, and 3 solo tackle. And I'm not really big into the tackles part. I mean, he's had 3 tackles for a loss and only 2 QB hits this entire time. I haven't been able to see what his pressure statistics are looking like, but I haven't seen much on him causing a lot of pressure. From what I've read in articles, it's been the Washington interior that's been causing a good chunk of the pressures. Now, we head over to Micah Parsons, okay? And when you look at Micah Parsons has been an electric player for Dallas. He has 2.5 sacks in 4 games. He has a bunch of tackles, which, again, that's not something I'm more looking at. And he has 7 QB hits in 4 games. And not only that, the amount of pressure he's done is unbelievable. And again, when you look at how he's been playing with the intensity, with how he's been able to just go and do his part, Micah Parsons has been one of the main reasons why Dallas has been able to flip the script defensively. And sure, you could point to guys like Osa Odigizua, Chauncey Goldstein. They're all playing with a hell of a lot of motor, but the main reason why Dallas defensively has done such a well job is because of this guy right here. Number 11 has been making plays. And not only that, even if he's not making plays, you can see how he's been able to rush the passer. You've seen how he's been able to perform all around the football field. Meanwhile, with Chase Young, Washington defensively has not looked at all that impressive. And I get it that it takes more than one thing, and you could argue that defensively, Dallas is doing better because their offense has been running effectively. But still, even when Dallas's defense, or excuse me, their offense has really had moments where they kind of just like sputter out, their defense has stood their ground. You know, a good example of this is the Chargers game where Dallas held the Chargers to 17 points, a team that's 3-1 now. I want you to think about that. And not only that, what they have done since the start of this year. It's just been unbelievable. Sure, they've given up some yardage, but the main point is they haven't allowed a lot of points to be scored on them. Oh, well, Space, if you look, I mean, let me put it to you this way. You know, Dallas has not allowed a team to put 31 plus points on them except for that Tampa Bay game where they allowed the last minute field goal. If you really think about it, if Dallas holds on to win that game, they haven't allowed an opponent to score more than 30 plus points on them. Okay? And that's what's the crazy part is when you look at how Dallas has done, they've been just dominating people. And defensively, they've been doing so good that it's not even just trash teams. They're playing against really damn good opponents. Okay? They nearly beat a Tampa Bay squad that's 3-1 now in their own home. They beat a Chargers team, which is 3-1 right now. And they beat a Carolina team that came into their 3-0. Regardless of how you look at it, they have amassed a 3-1 record playing against three good teams, a great, or you can argue, with LA, that being the Chargers, and the Buccaneers and such, great teams, and a bad team in Philadelphia right now. But they've done so well in the first opening part against these teams where it's like, you can't use the excuse they're playing trash teams. Meanwhile, you look at Washington, and Washington is 2-2 right now. You could argue they could be 1-3 right now. And you look at the teams they've played. They've played the Giants, which a game they should have lost. And I'm not doing this in any particular order, by the way, as we pull up Chase Young's stats again. I mean, you played the Chargers, who are 3-1, so you played a really good team. And, hey, you held them to 20 points. Pretty good. Played the Giants. You gave up almost 30 points there. You played Buffalo, which you got completely demolished. And you played Atlanta, which you gave up 30 points. Like, I want you to think about this. We need to have an honest conversation here. Dallas hasn't given up that many points this year. Aside from the 30-plus points in that home opener, which that 30 points came at the end of regulation, Dallas has not given up 30-plus points in a game. Carolina just kind of, at the end of the game that was catching back up, Dallas just took their foot off the gas pedal. If you really think about it, if Dallas continues to play and they just keep, putting it to them, you could argue that Dallas doesn't allow more than 21 points that game. And so that's why I say Micah Parsons has had a much better defensive impact than Chase Young. Chase Young has not done much in these past 4 games to warrant himself being a better player than Micah Parsons. Meanwhile, Micah Parsons has been a key cog in why Dallas is 3-1 right now. But Space, they play 2 different positions. I understand that. But even when Micah Parsons was playing defensive end or rushing the passer, he's been doing a lot better than what Chase Young has been doing. He has more QB hits. He has a ton more pressures from what I've seen. Keep in mind, this is just eye test stuff, which I understand it's subjective. And he has 2.5 more sacks than he has in 4 games. And you can argue, if it wasn't for the fact that Micah was being held on every single play in that Chargers game, he could have had more than enough sacks. And we're having a whole different conversation. Micah Parsons is on pace to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. But I want to be clear that Chase Young is still a talented player. He is not trash by any means. But when you look at what he's done, Washington hasn't done much this year to say they're still an elite defense. Defense is a lot more unpredictable than looking at an offense. And so with that, Micah Parsons has been the reason why Dallas has been doing very well against good opponents at that. Meanwhile, Chase Young has been quiet, and I think it's fair to have this conversation. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. By all means, down in the comment section below, tell me what you think. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.